Hi, I'm Karinsa Cadenas. I'm an editor for New York Magazine's The Cut, and I'm going to be moderating the Q&A with Céline Sciamma, the director and writer of this amazing film.
Hey.
So, congratulations on your opening weekend and this amazing crowd who came to join us. Where did the idea kind of come from for you?
So the film was written with Brittany in mind, a former girlfriend of mine. That's an easy joke. Okay. I'm a funny person, you can tell, but it's like, I'm going to crack jokes all the time. Don't worry. No, for this specific place in Brittany, because I wanted those cliffs, I wanted those beautiful beaches, and it's basically a coast that is untouched, that is preserved. And so you would definitely believe it is in the past. You don't have to erase anything in post-production, except surfers, who are really like all people who believe that they are free. I really don't give a fuck about other people's freedom. Like, really. I hate surfers now. There was a budget. And the castle is actually in the Parisian banlieue, periphery, like 50 kilometers from Paris. And it was the most difficult thing to find the castle, because you visit basically a lot of castle. France has a lot of castle, where people get married. And so it's like, you have this kind of fake thing, and it's been painted and repainted, and like, for instance, it's always like the wood wall are always bicolor, and they're always like, and we found that castle that was like basically crawling, and that wasn't touched for centuries. So the wood of the wall is like an actual wood of the 18th century, and the color was there, and we didn't touch that color. So it's actually, and it felt like it belonged to the film already, and that it was kind of the color that was mirroring my previous choices around color in my previous film. So that was kind of, that was a meeting with a place that was vibing with past. And I like to construct my sets, like even if it's the bedrooms of teenage girls in contemporary Paris. I like it to build it, to choose every color. But this time, and it's the period piece, so it should be reconstitution. We did we did nothing. Basically, the place was like waiting for us.
Wow, that's amazing, especially because, I think in terms of like working with your cinematographer, it's just so epic looking. What was like building that relationship with her?
Well, I've been wanting to work with her for a long time. I've been always very careful about her work. We met on that script, and basically we worked a lot. And having also that strong decision to give a lot of time and also money, which is kind of the same in cinema, for her to craft this lighting. That famous castle, the castle that was perfect, was the first floor, and it was very old, so you couldn't hang any lighting in there. So the rooms, there was the lightings, all the projectors, is that the word? Yeah, the lamps and everything, they weren't in the room. They were outside. We built this very big scale, and all the lighting were outside. And it took, like, for each scene, it would take 2 to 3 hours sometimes to set the lighting, which would drive me crazy. But I'm a smoker, so I can wait. No, but it means that it's time you're gonna have less time with your actors. So it's like, when I'm asked, how do you make it beautiful? Well, it's the time you're going to put into your ideas. We talked a lot about paintings. Obviously, we went to the museum, but mostly to decide how we were going to shoot painting as a work, as a moment of work.
Well,
I'm trying to make short answers so that we can talk about everything.
Well, what was making and working, making sure that Noémie and Adele had chemistry? Because obviously this is a movie that's just a lot of longing lesbian looks, which is ideal, personally speaking. But is also, that's just chemistry. You can't just fake, to that
Oh,
degree.
you can. I mean, it's cinema, so it's not that you can, it's that you should. You should. The argument of the fact that chemistry should happen on a set, that you should fall in love with whoever you're looking at. This has been causing a lot of trouble. This was propaganda for rape, basically. So no, it's a job, and we are very good at this job. And it's not about their. Of course, it's about their working relationship, and the fact that they would also not know each other very well. And we kept it that way. They didn't rehearse, so they were always kind of surprised as how things would go. Like how was he going to send? They always said like it was like Noemi says like Heather was like handing her little balls, and they were catching, and she would never know how she would throw the ball, and so there was kind of that tension. And also it's mostly ideas and being very accurate about those ideas. It means, for instance, how you would breathe. Like, for instance, how do you show somebody has desire for somebody for the first time? So we are looking at Noémie Merlan's face, and she paints, and I let her do a little choreography of looks, and at some point I'm like, now. And she poses, and she gives this, and I'm like, open your mouth, and she opens her mouth. And that's how you create the choreography of chemistry and desire. It's being very accurate, and they are very good actors, so they are very much in control of their face as their muscles. It's their athlete, and they're really good athletes. So I think they cared a lot about the film. It's about the film that they cared. It's not about each other or whatever.
Well, they both have very good
They like
faces.
each other very much. I don't want to like.
I have to ask, I think one of the most, the film is so beautiful, but one of the most beautiful shots is, I think, the one with the mirror when she's drawing herself. What was like kind of the inspiration for that?
Well, I was thinking about this American photographer who actually committed suicide at 26 because she didn't get into an art show, whose name is... oh no, I can't forget her name. Does somebody has it? Angelika, she was a New Yorker. Angelika Woodman. Francesca Woodman. Thank you. She did a lot of this thing with mirrors and shadows, and I was very moved by her work. And also, the film talks about women artists in the 18th century, but globally. That's the destiny and the journey of women artists. And I felt like she had done things with mirror, and I like her work, and I thought, I want to do something with a mirror. She hadn't specifically done this. And it was playful with the idea of we keep playing with this cycle of this round between the model and the artist, and who's posing and who's in charge and who's looking at who, and like this. We just push the limit. And what if the mirror was there, and that you would, and so it's also about harvesting a situation, being generous about it, and also thinking it's going to be also fun. I think it's an image that's disturbing and fun and yeah.
I read an interview with you recently about people, or like maybe critics specifically, calling it a queer story when it's very obviously a lesbian story. I was wondering if you would talk about that a little bit.
Well, in France, it's not even queer. It's like une histoire d'amour entre deux femmes, which sounds really sexy when I say it, but it's just like that's French. It sounds like that, but it is like a love story between two women. So it's not even qualified. I mean, and it's not about qualifying their love story. I think it's also about qualifying the politics, the aesthetics, and the politics of the film. So I guess here lesbian is much more popular as a word than in France. So I found it already, but it's just it seems to be a word that is kind of scary, and I think because, I mean, the program is scary. It's a threat to a system, and yet that's why we are so often despised. That's why we're so often killed in films or treated as also, I don't know, being like a crazy person, craving for possession, and The film shows that we're not craving for possession, we are craving for a lot of things. But I think that's why there's a threat around the world. But I'd rather be a threat than a fashion.
I think we have some time to take a couple questions from the audience.
Hi. I really love this film. It's the second time I've watched it, and it has been a big inspiration creatively to me. And something I think about a lot is the dialogue and the writing. So I wanted to ask you, how do you approach your writing, and when do you know you have written something good, something worth working on?
Well, on this film particularly, I've been evolving from film to film. And this one, it took me 5 years to craft it. I'm not going to say write it, but really think about it, Mostly because I was trying to find a new way to write for myself. Knowing that I would be directing the film, and I hope that's what you want to do. Okay. And there was 2 levels of new reflection. The first one was because I'm more deconstructed than before, The first level was like trying to depart from the narrative of conflict, the fact that a good scene is a good bargain, and to not rely on that kind of tension. And the second layer was most also concerning the fact that I would direct this. And it's about trying to have, you can get lost in the process because, cinema is really heavy. There's a lot of people, depends on the weather, what did you have at lunch, so you have to believe very strongly in what you do. So because it costs a lot of money, so there's a lot of pressure, so there might be a lot of compromise to do. You should do them, but you should know where to do them. And so really it's about filling the scenes with ideas you care about and with a lot of desire. And you have to be very clear about what you desire. There's no mystery for you in what you want in that image. And it can be several things. It can be the color of the wall for this special location that you think is gonna be really that you like, but it can really be it's what you want to do with each scene so that you don't get lost in the process. And if you can't manage to write a scene with a strong desire, with a strong idea in it for yourself, get rid of it. Never do these things. Don't create handle for yourself. Don't do that scene where, people won't understand if she's not taking the car. And that's why, the film is 69 sequences. It's 2 hours long still, but 69 is not much. Usually a film is 120. And it's I was really trying to don't make a scene about she's opening the door and going to the kitchen. What happens if? And see what it produces. Go through the steps you need for your story. Look at those steps. Try to fill them. And if after years or months or weeks of thinking, you can't manage to do that, it means don't do it. Don't do that scene. So I'm really thinking a script as architecture of desires. And especially for this one, it was a film about desire. And if you want to know more about this, I did a lecture for BAFTA, on BAFTA Guru, and it's all written down about how I like to write. And it's kind of this, but yeah. Thank you.
Hi.
Hi again.
Again. We were talking about the elements yesterday, and that was it was a little bit different question, but this film is hugely discussed online every day by me and a small group of people. And somebody was saying how I'm just wondering if it was intentional, how Marianne seems to be kind of more commanding of the elements. She's the one that's lighting the pipe all the time, and she's the one that's jumping in the water and all this stuff, whereas Eloise seems to just kind of go with whatever. She doesn't do anything when she's on fire, and she goes in the ocean and just goes with it or whatever. So I'm wondering if that was intentional or what, Oh,
I'm not saying it that way at all. Eloise is the one saying you should look at the abortion because we're going to paint this, for instance. She's going to swim into that water willingly, whereas Marianne steps in because she has to save basically what she's going to make a living out of. So, convention of action is jumping in the water, and because like, oh, there's a danger. So she's maybe in a very conventional way, you would look at her as the active character. But everybody's a top. Because that's a question I get a lot. We hate this idea of tops and whatever not top. Like, come on, this is so... No.
They will love that answer.
I know. I know that was the hidden secret in your... the hidden agenda of that question. This is therapy,
there
you know?
really wasn't. I just wondered because some girl that's actually really respectful and always has good ideas brought that up, and I thought that's a good question, actually.
Well, I don't think we can take another question because literally that's the best answer we're going to ever get. So thank you, everyone, for coming out tonight. Tell everyone to come see this amazing film.
Thank you.
And thank you for Céline.